Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more slug testing, and today we've got another very interesting combination out here to try with a slug that showed promise but a little bit of inconsistencies combined with a choke that hasn't really done anything special for us yet. So on one hand, I don't necessarily have the highest hopes, but on the other hand, I've got some decent hopes that maybe this particular slug or this style of slug might really work out well for us through this combo. We're just gonna have to see what happens. As for the slugs we've got to run today, I brought out some more of these, the Brenneke K.O slugs, but these ones are the 20 gauge, 2 3/4 inch, 3/4 ounce slugs, moving at 1550 is what the back of the box claims here. We did recently test these through just a stock improved cylinder, and they looked good, especially at 50, and out at 100. We had a couple shots that looked good, and then we would kind of throw one. And that's kind of been the story with some of Brenneke's 20 gauge slugs as of recently anyway. So maybe this combo we've got today might help dial them in a little bit more out towards that 100-yard range, but we'll see what happens. As for the setup we've got to run, I brought out the Stevens 301 20 gauge, just your basic single shot smooth bore with a Nikon inline XR 3-9x40 on top, which is technically a muzzleloader scope, but it works well on this particular platform. It's got a 26-inch barrel on it, but we're going to be running a Carlson's rifled choke tube in here today. So far, in 12 gauge, we've seen a few promising results from it. In 20 gauge, however, it really has yet to do anything fabulous for us, and actually has made us kind of go backwards in some of our groups as well. Now, it's not a lot of rifling right at the end. It's a 1 in 35 twist rate, and the choke is only about yay long right here, so it's not doing a ton, but if the slug is actually big enough diameter to grab the rifling, then it will put some kind of a spin on it. So we'll see how the KO slugs perform through the rifle choke. Might work out great, it might do nothing. I don't know. We'll see what this combo is actually capable of, and hopefully it gives us something pretty decent. But as for today's test, I don't have a ton of these slugs to work with, so we got to use what I do have on hand. We're going to shoot two groups, one at 50 and another at 100, all of them through the chrono as well. It's not anything overwhelmingly scientific, but it will at least give us an idea on if this combo is the same, any better, or any worse than just a stock improved cylinder. So let's get you guys a view of those targets, shoot some groups, and see what we get. Alright, so we'll take a look at our chrono real quick before we look at our target. Boss claim is 1550, and we are legitimately getting that claim from our 26-inch barrel. Even though we have a little bit extra choke out the end, we were seeing that claim last time as well with a flush improved cylinder. So that is legitimate numbers that they're saying on their box, which is always nice to see. But we had a high of 1602, a low of 1502. That gave us an average of 1556, so 6 feet per second above their box claim, with an extreme spread of 100 and a standard deviation of 31. So at a velocity of 1556 on average, that's plenty good enough for an average deer hunt scenario. Of course, here is your muzzle energy for a 3/4 ounce slug at that velocity. Again, plenty good enough, but did they actually prefer the rifle choke over just an improved cylinder? Let's go check out our target. Alright, so now we're over here looking at our target, and right off the bat, I can tell you that rifle choke did not help these at all, and I actually think it made it a little bit worse as well. And that's kind of what we've been seeing from the 20 gauge rifle choke in particular. Little bit different story with the 12 gauge though. But we'll start on the left with our 50-yard group. Obviously, these three shots right here are not anything great for 50 yards, that's for sure. That's already a 3.37-inch spread, only at 50 as well. That is easily double what we were getting with just an improved cylinder, so there's obviously some decline here one way or another. Moving out to 100, it's kind of the same story. After hitting these two and this guy way down here at the very bottom of the target, you can barely see him peeking out right down there. That's our third shot. I had 2 of these rounds left. I figured we might as well go ahead and just try them and see what happens. And we hit one up here and one off the very bottom right corner over here. Again, a little tricky to see. But we had 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's not anything great for 100 yards either. And sort of again, we had 2 that were kind of close together, and then we would fling one low or fling one high or fling one to the right or whatever the case would be. Not exactly super consistent out there. The farthest 2 across are a little bit over 6.15, that being from that bullet hole down to that bullet hole there on the edge. My calipers only go to 6.15, and it's probably a 6.3 inch group or so. And if I'm remembering correctly, I think that's probably about what we saw the last time as well. So a little bit unfortunate again, and it's pretty interesting because a lot of people are up or down on rifle chokes, and the people that don't like them or have always questioned them say, well, you've got a slug running into rifling right at the end of the barrel, probably gonna disrupt some things. And that may be true to some extent, but it's not like a slug is hitting a ledge, a sharp ledge of rifling or anything like that. It is a pretty smooth transition into the rifling. And another thing to note here, we do have the little tail pieces stuck in these Brenneke slugs, and as far as I can tell, we did not lose any of them after going through rifling. That was another concern, or another possibility anyway, and I did not see any of them fly off, and I did not find any of them on my range either. So I don't think that rifling caused us to lose our tail pieces here either. And obviously the slugs are still flying stable. So I was hoping for a little bit better, but this has kind of been the story with this 20 gauge rifle choke in particular. Did I get a dud from Carlson's? I don't know. I guess it's not impossible, but I think it's probably unlikely. But who knows? I've still got a couple other slugs I want to run through it, and we'll see what happens, and I guess we can go from there. But I was definitely hoping to see better than this from today's results, that's for sure. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about those results? Not exactly what I was hoping to see, that's for sure. But on the flip side, doesn't entirely surprise me either so far. Unfortunately, it just seems like the rifle choke in 20 gauge, it could just be that in particular, you know, rifled for a 20 gauge, or it could be I've got a bad choke. It could be that my 301 just doesn't do well with a rifle choke, considering that uses wind choke threads and the chokes are like this long right at the tip of the barrel. So that could also be a factor, running into a very short, quick amount of rifling. I don't know, but it just seems like it's not really worth it in 20 gauge based on my testing so far. 12 gauge has been a different story. So as of now, it seems like these 20 gauge KOs are a decent slug through a smoothbore improved cylinder out to 70-ish yards or so. They're going to be plenty good enough. Past that, you start to pick up some inconsistencies and start throwing a flyer here or there. And we kind of saw that yet again here today with the 5 shots we took out there at 100. So I was hoping for better, but that's why you test different stuff and see what works and what doesn't. Because sometimes the combos you think are going to work just don't, and the kind of questionable combos actually wind up surprising you. So leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these 20 gauge KO slugs? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Have you tested a rifled Carlson's choke in 20 gauge in particular, and what kind of results have you seen, especially if you've been getting similar looking groups to what we've been getting? And maybe what other slugs do you want to see me try through that 301 with an improved cylinder or the rifle choke or anything like that? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it. So I'll see y'all in the next one.